Welcome, Real Academics. Today we're going to talk about the last secret to being a happy and productive writer. And so in this short video, I want to share with you secret number 3, which is that happy, productive writers are intentional with what they are doing within their writing time. If you've missed secret number 1 or secret number 2, then just click on the links below. So let's get going with secret number 3. My goal for today is to give you ideas about what to do during your writing time. And this includes ideas for structure as well as tools to help you know what to do during your writing practice. Because one of the questions I get from colleagues and students and clients about writing when I coach them is, they'll come to me and say, I understand I need to schedule my writing time and I need to log my time, and I know the things I need to do for my writing. I know what my writing projects are, but I don't actually know what to do when I sit down and write. Do you have some sort of structure? So that's why I made this video, which is here's the structure. So this looks kind of like an outline. And this is my structure. This is what works for me. I basically start off with a warm-up, and then I open my log. I do my actual writing. That's the bulk of my time. And then I always take time to record what I did in my writing log. And I'm going to go through all of these steps for you. Now, this is just an idea. Like I said, this is what works for me. You can try it. You can adjust it as need be. If you just need it to get started, go ahead, by all means. So let me walk you through these steps and the reasons for why I do them and what they are. And hopefully this will give you some ideas for structuring your own writing time. And so the first step is the warm-up. And that's actually one of my favorite steps because it really gets me in the mood for writing. I don't know about you, but I don't always feel in the mood for writing. And so these 3 ideas help me get going. And the first is free writing, which is just the idea to allow you to write freely. So what I do is I'll set my timer for 5 minutes. I don't recommend more than that because it can just go on forever. And I'll either there's 2 types of free writing in my mind, but let me know in the comments below if you have other ideas or other ways you use free writing. One is literally completely unstructured, where maybe I just am coming to my writing appointment with too much on my mind. And so I'll allow myself to free write my thoughts, write to-do lists, journal my anxieties, whatever it is, whatever's on my mind. Now, the idea with free writing, always, whatever you do, is that you do not worry about grammar or of spelling, anything like that. Nobody has to see this. This is just to get yourself in the mood for writing and get your writing flowing. Another kind of free writing I do is what I call more focused free writing. So it's still, I'm not worried about grammar or spelling or anything like that, and nobody has to see it. But it's a free writing that's focused on whatever my writing task is. So perhaps I'm coming to my writing appointment knowing I need to keep working on a lit review for a manuscript. And I'm just going to free write about that. Maybe I'm like, I need to find more articles on this, but I have all this great info, so I need to just like start with what I have already, whatever. It might be just talking to myself to get going, and then I don't know, it helps. So give it a try. It helps me. Another thing you can do is copying, which is probably a less well-known activity, though it's not new. And that is the idea of finding a well-written piece of writing. So you define what well-written is. So maybe it's an article you've read and just really love the way the author wrote the piece. It's the final published piece, right? That's not how it started off. But you like the final product and you want to sound like them. And so you literally set your timer for 5 minutes and copy the article word for word very slowly. Now, this might sound really odd to you, but the idea is to pay attention to the way the author has written their sentences, how they've made their arguments, how they've organized their thoughts. This activity is helpful for all academic writers, especially if you're beginning in the genre of academic writing. Though I will say that a lot of academic writers for whom English is not their first language, if they're needing and wanting to get into the academic writing mode in English, this is super helpful. And you just do it for 5 minutes and then you stop. And then if you decide to do it again in your next writing session, you start your timer again and just continue where you left off. And this is not going anywhere. This isn't about plagiarizing. This is just about using a text as a mentor to your own understanding of the structure of academic writing and how things are phrased and worded. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, send me an email. All right. The third warm-up is probably one of my favorites, which is reading about writing. And before I started graduate school and went to the Power Writing Studios offered at Texas A&M University, I did not know that people actually wrote about writing, whether it be creative writing or even academic writing, about their processes, about tools you can use, strategies. So there are a lot, there weren't even, they do exist. There's more now, I will say, and I'm going to show you, here's some snapshots of books I've particularly found helpful, and there's definitely more than these, but if you're new to this genre, here's some to get you started. How to Write a Lot is a short read. It's by Paul Silva. Pretty motivating to just get you to sit down and write. Becoming an Academic Writer by Patricia Goodson. I'm going to talk about extensively in another slide. Air and Light in Time and Space by Helen Swords. Also inspiring book. It's actually a very large qualitative study of productive, successful academic writers from all over the world. Deep Work by Cal Newport. It's a little more theoretical, but it is, for me, has been motivating to really think about how I structure myself, my whole life really, for focus, so I can think deeply. Still Writing by Dani Shapiro is more about a creative writer's process, but I think a lot of the ideas there are also helpful and motivating for academic writers. And Professors as Writers by Robert Boyce. It's kind of a classic. He was one of the first researchers into academic writers and writing anxieties. So he summarizes his research there, ideas behind the writing log, regulating your writing, and having accountability come from his work. So yeah, check them out. So like I said, you can set your timer for 5 minutes, read, when the timer goes off, you stop. I've gotten through many of these books doing that just during my writing sessions, and it just motivates me to get in the mindset of writing. Okay, let's go back to the previous slide, which is the next step is to actually do your writing. This should be the bulk of the time you spend during your writing session, which is doing your actual task. So I put open your log and then write. So the log, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch my first video on that. But hopefully you do. I highly recommend it because if you recall from the first video, and I have a snapshot here of what a log could look like, you can make it whatever you want it to be. You should have the next steps written here for whatever writing project you're picking up to work on for your session. So that's just a quick way to remind you of what you need to do next on the particular writing project for that session. Now, sometimes like I put here, sometimes I use my writing log to map out what I will do. So I might take like 5 seconds to write down what I'm going to do. Even though I have like next steps here, I might put like, okay, these are my next steps. So I'm going to do this, and I can revise it later. So that just gets me in focused on what I'm going to do for that session in my project. Okay, and that's why I love the log. So then you write. And so here I can't really tell you what to write because it all depends on your particular project and what phase it's in. But I do want to share with you, if you're an academic writer, especially who writes any form of research pieces, which could be proposals, dissertations, manuscripts. This is a very, very helpful resource. I think I've recommended it to many people. I still use it. I think it works for grad students, faculty, it doesn't matter, aspiring academics. And the reason I recommend it so highly is there's two parts to the book. The first part speaks a lot to things I talk about. So lest you think it's all, I made all this up, I didn't. And it's grounded in a bunch of other research as well on writing. So, but this compiles it very nicely for you. So there's a part one that talks about, like I said, setting a schedule for your writing, how to develop that habit, even how to edit for yourself and how to structure things. The second half is the part I'm thinking of. So when you sit down to write, if you don't know where to start, what to do, the lovely thing is there are sections in the book for each part of a research piece. So if you're writing your introduction, there are specific exercises to help you write your introduction. And they'll even say things like set your timer and do ABC, try this out. So it's actually literally, like it says here, exercises for paced, productive, and powerful writing. So if you're writing your methods section, there are exercises for that. If you're writing your discussion conclusion section, even your abstract, it's all in there. So I highly recommend this book for that reason, in the context of thinking about what you're going to do during your writing time. All right. That's it, real academics. Secret number 3 is that happy, productive writers are intentional with what they're doing within the writing time. So, like we've talked, you can start with a warm-up. I would not recommend it go longer than 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, 5 minutes. Maybe if you're really into reading, but I mean, you really want the bulk of your time to be writing. So then you use your log to see where you left off on your writing project and to possibly map out what you're going to do. So don't forget at the end of your writing time to go back and record your log time, what you did, refine what you did, and what you're going to do next, right? And then use tools like the book I recommended to actually help you know what to do during different phases of your academic writing project. So my challenge for this time is for you to sit down and sketch out a writing structure for your writing session. And you can totally use the little outline I showed you at the very beginning. And then also get whatever tools you need. Maybe the book I recommended, or maybe you know some other resources as well. So definitely share those in the comments for others. And if you like this video, please share it with others. Subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the notification bell and hit the like button. Thanks for watching and listening. And until next time, happy writing, productivity, and truth seeking.